Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to the Eastern Division Preview edition of the Batter Up Podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here on the Sports Insanity Network. Got the big three with you. Danny Boy Reginald, the old ops guy. Mike Rifkin. Gentlemen, good morning. How are you?
Feeling a little nostalgic as I'm looking at Dan because I'm either looking at Notorious B.I.G. or Slim Shady here. So either way, the morning is kicked off to a great start.
Either way, you're looking at legends.
There you go.
Well, with the Tiger cap, I think you could go more Eminem, but you know what? You can't fault the Biggie.
Yeah. Shout out to both, and obviously one of them rest in paradise. But yeah, you can't go wrong with it on Sunday. Listen to that.
On a Sunday, you cannot go wrong.
Though listening to Eminem, I think that's a treat. So
Eminem, hands down, probably my all-time favorite rapper. I'll just say that. I'm not big on the rap music, but Eminem. All right.
I especially like the green, the red ones. You know, they work for me as well.
Do you like the peanut ones?
No, my wife likes the peanut M&Ms. I like the caramel M&Ms. You know, they are good.
You sound like my father right
now. Clean up your room.
Actually, it's pretty clean. I'll give myself that.
God. All right.
We got the Easts we'll cover today. So Dan will yell and scream about Boone and Cashman. Mark and I will scream about the Mets a little bit. But I do want to start with the WBC because we are down to the Final Four. Because last night we had a couple of upsets. The Italians said ciao to Puerto Rico. And
Viva la Italia.
And Venezuela knocked out Japan.
Wow. I mean, talk about a statement.
And one player in particular made a statement. Ronald Acuna Jr. taking Yamamoto deep. Oh,
that must have felt good on that swing.
Comic.
Japan, you have been bombed again.
Oh my God.
Boom. We don't want no Samurai Japan no more. Venezuela, of all teams, absolutely kicked your ass. That must have felt amazing. And I know the final score was it 8-5, 9-5, whatever.
8-5.
8-5. Yeah, please. That wasn't the real score. Japan was all out of sorts all night. It was great to watch. For once,
as the Italians
flustered.
As the Japan team was walking off the field, apparently the Italian players all got together and started saying "Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto."
It would be Venezuela.
I meant Venezuela, yes. "Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto" on the way out was the chant.
So Venezuela moves on to the semifinal. They'll play tomorrow against Italy. It'll be Puerto Rico.
What a game that's going to be. Yeah. Completely no bias there at all. Straight cheering.
Yeah. But tonight, you got the United States of America playing against the Dominican Republic.
Team USA, baby. Come on.
This is going to be a tough look. This is the game right here. This should be the final game of the entire WBC. No offense to other teams that belong there, but this is going to be a fantastic ball game.
And the United States will throw out Paul Skeens.
If that doesn't scare you, nothing will.
See if the Dominican Republic. Oh, the Dominican Republic. It's a good day to talk National League and American League East because a guy who made his rounds in New York, Luis Severino, will be pitching
Louis
for the Dominican Republic tonight.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready. Come on, babe.
So
it's going to be a great game. It really is.
Winner plays in the finals on Tuesday against the winner of Venezuela and Italy. But look, the WBC's had its fair share of drama, but no bigger drama than what happened in the U.S. and Mexico game between Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena, teammates of the Seattle Mariners. And Randy Arozarena is not happy with one Cal Raleigh because he would not fist bump him when Arozarena came to the plate. Go read the quote, ladies and gentlemen. It was not good.
Go ahead, Dan. Take it first.
I don't know. I'm not gonna overblow it. Like, it's competition. They'll talk it out when they get back to Mariners camp and everything. Like, but yeah, I mean, I would feel the same way if I was Randy Rosarena too. I'd be like, yo, what the hell, man? Like, I thought we were buds. But I don't think if it spills into the clubhouse, that'd be pretty shocking because you're going to spend 162 games essentially with each other. So it's like, obviously there's rest days, injuries, and all that stuff. But like, you're going to spend an entire season in that clubhouse. Like, there's no way you can just not talk to each other, not appreciate it. I think that's a bunch of horse crap. So, I think they'll be fine.
It was really weird. After it happened, I went back to look in news articles just to see if maybe something small sneaked by. There was no rift or anything to these guys before they got to the WBC. So something happened. What it was, who knows? Some trash talking. They didn't
Raleigh wouldn't shake his hand or fist bump.
Right. I mean, who knows what it is? But Dan and Mike pointed it out very clearly. It's not the last time they're going to see each other. They're going to wake up every day and they're going to be right in the same room. If I'm the manager of the Seattle Mariners, I'm putting them right next to each other. Hash it out, get it over with, get back on the field and move on. I just would love to have the real answer on what happened, but I don't even think we'll ever get that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, they're talking about what, a fist bump, a handshake, whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what was said. We don't know, obviously we saw the hand gesture, but was there anything extra that caused Randy Rosarena to say what he had to say after that? That we will never know. But
Right.
like I just think that this is another case of the media trying to make a big something out of something that really couldn't be nothing. Yeah,
and you could be very right there as well, Dan. This could be absolutely nothing. Even Cal Raleigh is quoted here. There's nothing about this. It was nothing. Let it go.
Maybe Cal
Whatever it
Raleigh, when it
was.
comes to international competition, when he's facing an opponent, like probably is focused on the game. Like,
Right.
He might not do that during the regular season game. We don't know.
Like, yeah, it's like, I don't know. Like
listen, we're in between the lines. We're competing against each other. You want to be buddies after the game? Cool.
Yeah.
I'll shake your hand after
weren't
the
they,
game.
Weren't they dabbing it up like before the game too? Like
they could have, sure.
Like, because that's what I was reading.
Not that I saw, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Well, yeah. That's what I was reading. Like they're all up. They were all like saying hi to each other and everything. Like, look, all these baseball players, they're friends, but
Yeah,
this is a world tournament that matters to so many people.
yeah.
On a lot
Everyone
of
wants
different
to
levels.
win.
One more note on the WBC, Mike, before you move into the AL East.
Well, actually, I was
Say
going to
it's
move on. I was going to stick with this for a second, but go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going right in. Seiya Suzuki for the Chicago Cubs had an awkward slide last night going into second. He is set for an MRI, and the status is not looking very good, as he needed complete help to get off the field. They're hoping a high level sprain, but they are fearing a possible tear.
Ooh, that ain't good for the Cubs. But just one last thing on the Raleigh thing. Friday night against Canada, he did the same thing to Josh Naylor, his first baseman. He
I
didn't
didn't
catch
notice
him.
that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
so
I didn't see anything till I saw the video on Twitter. So
Yeah,
so
I think
well,
it's a whole. I think it's the media
yeah,
trying to make a big story out of something that really isn't that big a deal. And again, like if they're truly, if Randy Rosarena truly had a problem with it, which maybe he does, they would hash it out in Mariners camp.
yeah. Oh yeah, the Mariners will have it hashed out.
Yeah,
And if they can't hash it out, guess what, Randy Rosarena, you're gonna pack your bags
yeah,
because
exactly.
they're not
yeah, I
gonna
was about to
trade
say
Cal
they're not
Raleigh.
going to kick Cal Raleigh
You're
out of
not,
there,
you're
and
not,
if they
you're
think
not
about
messing up
kicking
our
Cal
locker
Raleigh
room
out of
not
there, you
all
can have
season.
all the Mets catchers.
Listen, they ain't trading the big dumper. They ain't doing that. All right. So again, U.S. Dominican Republic tonight, Venezuela, Italy tomorrow. Finals are on Tuesday night.
Yeah,
So,
but boy, are the U.S. lucky to even be as
the
far as
U.S. is
they are.
very lucky.
Whew, God. Me and Bill, we talked about it Friday on SIP. What a disaster it was just to get into the quarterfinal for the U.S.
Uh,
Terrible.
well done, Mark DeRosa. Well done. All right. Like we said at the top, we are covering the American League and National League Eastern divisions today. We will start in the American League because the American League East last year had the American League representative in the World Series.
It wasn't the Yankees.
It may have been the Tampa Bay Rays. I don't remember. But the AL East standings look like this in 2025. The Toronto Blue Jays won the division at a record of 94-68. The Yankees had the same record, but the Blue Jays won on tiebreakers, followed by the Red Sox at 89-73, the Rays at 77-85, and the Baltimore Orioles at 75-87. But that was last year. We've had a winter go by, and a lot of teams in the American League East made some moves. Let's start with the Blue Jays, who this offseason signed Dylan Cease to a big contract. Kazuma Okamoto comes over from Japan. Tyler Rogers in the bullpen. Cody Ponce. Max Scherzer returns. And the Blue Jays also signed Eloy Jimenez to a minor league contract, the former White Sox. Dan, this Blue Jays lineup was deadly. And then last year we saw in the playoffs this rotation pretty good as well, and they had Dylan Cease.
Yeah. I'm still the more time goes by, the more I realize how much bigger the Cease contract is. Like at first I wasn't really all about it. Um but but now that I think about it more, it's actually a pretty smart signing. You get someone who's been a big time pitcher in Major League Baseball. Um, and while performance hasn't been up to par, that doesn't mean that he won't be great in Toronto. And Toronto has a good pitching staff with a good pitching coach and everything. So who's to say that he won't do well there? So the more I look at that particular signing, the more I'm the more the smarter the Blue Jays look. And look, it bolsters their rotation, but bottom line. And it's something that they truly need because if they're trying to go back as world champions, it's gonna be pretty hard this year. They had a they try to go after some players, didn't quite get there, but doesn't mean that they won't go back. It's just gonna be tougher.
And let's just focus on the rotation for a second because you bring in Cease, you bring Max Scherzer.
Yeah,
Kevin Gossman was really good in the playoffs,
yeah,
but no one had a bigger postseason pitching wise than Trey Savage.
exactly. And and those are the guys that you're gonna look at if you're Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the guys that you're gonna look at. And then you have Dylan Cease to be the complement. I think it's pretty good. It's a pretty good, solid rotation. Scherzer's in there. You don't expect much out of him either. He'll give you hopefully quality start here and there. Worst case scenario, it's a bullpen game. Like they have it set up well where they
Mm-hmm.
have their younger, bigger guns coming out, top of the rotation, and then the bottom half of that rotation, you have the veteran experience of a Max Scherzer, and they and he could again, like I said, go as far as he can, and then utilize your bullpen.
And Mark, we can talk about all the offensive signings we want. This offense still revolves around Vladdy.
Vladimir Guerrero is the face of the organization. He's the guy who everybody looks to, oh, we need the big hit is Vladimir Guerrero. Oh, let's just make a start out is that the Blue Jays were the first team on the board, and yeah, they overpaid in my opinion, but they stole Dylan Cease before anybody had a chance
Yeah,
to even get their fishing pole in the water, to even tempt them. And I think it was a brilliant move
yeah,
by Toronto.
yeah.
Um, what are we going to expect out of Dylan Cease there? I honestly think he's going to have one of his better seasons. Flipping from the NL to the AL is always a big, huge move. And I think he will thrive in that situation. I don't know much on Kazuma Okamoto. I have to really look more into him. Um, Tyler Rogers, enough said. That was a great pickup. And then Mike and Dan both spoke about Max Scherzer in the way in the way he needed to be spoken about. Look, I watched Max Scherzer go all the way all over the place. Detroit to Washington to LA. His time is now, it's at the end.
Yeah.
So he's giving it one last chance here to go for a ring. And it's possible if he cannot cut it as a starter, he goes to a bullpen. And then he can be a spot starter throughout the season.
Mhm.
And then they save his arm for when it matters really most, when they're going to need him the most, and that's the playoffs. Because they will be there.
And you keep him for his leadership. That is the other reason why you keep Max.
Yes,
Yeah,
without a question.
So yeah, that's what the Blue Jays did this winter. The Baltimore Orioles, they were fairly active as well. They signed Pete Alonso, Chris Bassett, Ryan Helsley, so they just like signing former Mets.
Mhm.
They acquired Shane Baz from the Rays, Taylor Ward from the Angels, brought back Zach Eflin, brought in Blaze Alexander from the D-backs, and signed Andrew Kittredge to help out in the bullpen. Mark, we've said for a couple of years we like the young core of the Orioles. They just need to add some pitching. but they added a couple of thumpers into the middle of this lineup instead.
You know, over the last few years in the baseball card market, the Baltimore Orioles were a team you wanted to get with names like Adley, Jackson, Gunner. I mean, just to name a few. Um, I think it's gonna gut me to say I wish Pete Alonso the best. Um, he's got a swing that is primed for that ballpark. It's not overly deep. It's not going to cheat him on home runs in the corners. So I expect a lot out of Pete Alonso, and I wish him well. Because I'll be laughing my head off when he's sitting at home and watching from the TV stand. Um, Ryan Helsley, I think, is their biggest gamble. Helsley, when he was with St. Louis, let's face it, he was one of the best closers in baseball when he was there. Came to the Mets, he stunk up worse than the garbage that goes out to New Jersey. I mean, this is a risky play by Baltimore, and I think they're gonna end up with the short hand of the stick. My favorite signing on it, though, is Shane Baz. I've liked him when he's been with Tampa. I think he's a solid player and a good leader in the clubhouse.
I mean, obviously the Polar Bear signing is by far the best signing in Baltimore in a long time.
Mhm.
Gives him a whole lot of power. We've already seen that in spring training. And um it gives that swagger into the Orioles lineup that I don't think people really understand because Pete Alonso, while he was a Met, every time he came up with a big hit and he came up with a lot of big hits, he always brought you that that little yeah moment. Like he came alive in a lot of those home run hits um that he got for the Mets. So it brings that factor to Baltimore, something that I think they desperately need. Because for the longest time, while they had great players, and there's no doubt about it, they don't have that person that fires up the clubhouse, that fires up the dugout. They need someone to fire up that dugout. Get them out of their seats and cheer on because it's a boring ass Baltimore Orioles team. So perfect signing for the Orioles. Great signing for Pete Alonso. I'm happy that he got his and that he gets to cement his legacy somewhere that's not the Mets, which I think the Mets made a massive mistake not going after that. And we'll talk about it when we get to them.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. That's really the biggest thing they did. I mean, I know Baz, he's really good. I like him too. Um, Helsley, I'll say this about him, and I know he struggled in New York. I think in Baltimore, not necessarily because he's under less pressure, but maybe because he can start fresh with a new squad and a brand new season. Being traded, it stinks for a player. You know, it doesn't matter like what the situation was or whatever it is. Like it always stinks to be traded. Now that he signed somewhere where he believes he could do some damage, I think his confidence is gonna be boosted up a little bit more. Not saying that he's going to have a great season out of the pen for the Orioles, but you can definitely believe he'll be a whole lot better than whatever he was with the Mets because you can tell he was uncomfortable. He can try to spin it all he wants. He's very uncomfortable in Queens.
And it's pretty hard for a bullpen guy to go from closer to setup guy, which that's what the Mets wanted Helsley to be for Edwin Diaz. The signing I'll talk about because I'm with you, Dan. I think the Pete signing's awesome, and we will definitely get into it when it comes to the Mets. I like the Chris Bassett side, not because Chris Bassett's the kind of guy who will give you 7 or 8 innings every start. It's not who he is, but he makes basically every start. And he's a good leader in the clubhouse. He'll help those young guys, teach them how to pitch. They're gonna have to pitch. He pitches to contact more so than striking everyone out. But that's kind of that's the signing I kind of like. It's back half of the rotation, but we'll see what the Orioles look like because they are the ultimate wild card in this division, in my opinion. If their offensive players hit, they'll be really good, but they need the pitching to really step it up. All right, Tampa Bay Rays will actually play this year at a major league ballpark.
Yep.
They brought in Steven Matz this offseason, Nick Martinez, Gavin Lux, Ben Williamson, and Cedric Mullins. Look, the Rays are the Rays.
Yeah, the Moneyball Rays.
Moneyball Rays. But the ultimate question mark for them, can they get Shane McClanahan back healthy?
Yeah.
And if they could, they have a legit ace on their hands.
Yeah. And every 5 days, he's going to ball out. It's just whether or not the rest of that lineup and the rest of the pitching staff, they're going to hold their end of the bargain. Look, the Rays will always be a massive bee flying around you. And if you try to swat it, it will sting you. Like, that's what the Rays are. Like they sting you. They give you a massive bump. If you're allergic, you're in no damn trouble. Like
they're a pain in the neck.
Like they are. They truly are. And look, I don't know what to expect out of the Rays. Look, it could be another season where it's around 500, under 500, but they will ruin your season.
Mm-hmm.
They will ruin your season.
Remember last year, they got off to a great start.
Yeah.
And then injuries just started piling up and things went south very quickly.
Imagine if they could, pay more. They'd be the most annoying team on planet Earth.
Well, they got new ownership now, so maybe they will spend some more money.
True that. That is very true. And of course, they're trying to relocate to the other side of Tampa Bay to be closer to Tampa. So, old ops guy.
As one who has worked for the Tampa Bay Rays organization, their way of bringing up young players is really unique and really headstrong. I got to see a lot of youngsters who are now in AAA, and some of them have made their way up into the big leagues. And it's pretty cool to say, hey, look, I once brought that guy out a bucket of baseballs, whatever. That being said, I hate the Steven Matz signing. I think it's a desperate signing to say, hey, we need a fifth pitcher. Look, Mike knows my pain on Steven Matz as we're both Mets fans. Steven Matz at one time had a couple of good years, couple of solid years, but he's worse than John Neese, let's put it that way. I think of all the signings they did, Gavin Lux is really the bright spot. Came up within the LA Dodgers organization. Is a good utility infielder, can play second, can play shortstop, can play third. So I think he'll definitely get a lot of chances and opportunities to shine and maybe become a more featured front. I think the absolute worst signing, and I said Steven Matz. I don't understand the Cedric Mullins signing. I understand, yeah, the guy can still play a little bit of a defensive center field. And I was hoping that for the Mets, but I was also hoping for 240, not 206. So his hitting days of what he used to be is over. But the Rays do something that Mike and Dan will both attest to, is they find ways to win. And then they make these things called trades at the deadline, and then there they are in the playoffs.
And they're not there; they're right on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
They find their way.
Look, it goes one way or the other for Tampa Bay. They're either in the mix, which a lot of times they are, or it's south, but they're still annoying. So I always expect the Rays to try to punch you. And sometimes they'll nab you somewhere you just least expect it.
Yeah.
You know? So uh getting McClanahan back though, I
Oh,
mean, that would be huge for them.
that would be a huge sigh of relief for everyone involved. All right, the Boston Red Sox, Bill Murphy's favorite baseball team.
Oh.
Bill
They
likes
brought
the
in
beer up there. He's admitted it. He likes the beer there.
they brought in Sonny Gray, Ranger Suarez, Wilson Contreras, Johan Oviedo, Caleb Durbin, Andrew Monasterio, and Bill Murphy's favorite baseball player of all time, Isaiah Kiner Falefa. The one thing the Red Sox did, they brought in a lot of people, but they really worked that rotation with Sonny Gray, Ranger Suarez.
Yeah.
To add to Garrett Crochet.
It's gonna be a lethal rotation, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, that's lethal since Pedro.
Yeah.
Look, you take this Boston Red Sox lineup, and these guys just said it. You got Garrett Crochet. When he's getting a chance to break, he's going to crochet a little couple of hats for some of these guys. While you have Sonny Gray, one of the best innings eaters in baseball. He's not going to win you 20 games. He's going to pitch at 25 to 30, and he's going to go between 6 and 7 innings every start. God forbid, something happens. Ranger Suarez is kind of a little bit of a wild card. We know what he can do. This is a bigger market than what he's pitched in. So we'll see what he to get out of him, but I still think they're going to get at least 12 to 14 wins. Forget about the other guys they signed. This pitching staff is top 5 in the league. I'm not going to say they're the best. There are a couple of teams that rival, that 1, 2, and 3 rival, but they're top 5 in baseball. So if the Red Sox can come away with finding ways to hit, get the right guys. Monasterio is young. He's still got a little bit of learning to do, but the guy can make contact and he can run. And then IKF, because God knows I ain't attacking that name, has been around the league. He knows the game, and he'll help out some of the younger guys. And let's not forget about Roman Anthony, okay?
Well, a guy you didn't mention who's coming back, who kind of needs a bounce back year, is Jared Duran.
Well, yeah, I should have mentioned him as well. Yes, you're right.
But the interesting thing about the Red Sox is they got a lot of great contact guys.
Yeah.
Oh, but then they had Wilson Contreras for some thump in the middle of that order. And he kind of replaces what Alex Bregman, Dan, brought to them last year.
Yeah, and of course I was kind of worried about because them not bringing Bregman back, I thought was ginormous for them because it's like it leaves a massive void. Then Contreras comes and now it's like, okay. So again, you're gonna have a Red Sox lineup that can hit, that will make you work for the out, and then a pitching rotation that's borderline like scary. I'm talking like it's gonna go to war, like in the Avengers. Like it's gonna go to war.
Mm.
So, um, it's a good team they assembled. Now, is it worthy of an AL East division title? Maybe it's gonna be tough. I think it's gonna be I truly think it's gonna be a 4-team race in this division. Um, but yeah, it definitely puts them up there. And the Red Sox did a pretty good job at making complementary moves to help already a good team that could really use the more experience and all that stuff. By the way, how about Sonny Gray when he gets signed by the Red Sox talking smack about the Yankees?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
like fuck you, dude. Like, you know,
Listen, I like it for this reason.
yeah.
The rivalry.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
I think the rivalry has been missing juice.
Yes.
This is what I want. I want Yankees Red Sox to matter. I
Yeah.
want Duke Carolina to matter.
You know,
I know people get drawn out. Now, listen, I'll be the first one to tell you, I hate that there'll be 4 or 5 Sunday night games this year between the Yankees and the Red Sox. But there's also a part of me that goes, bring it. The rivalry is back.
and
Yeah, it's
I want everyone swinging. You know, fuck them. Fuck the Red Sox.
And that's what I want the players to have. Both sides. We hate them, and they hate us.
there is
Right.
still a possibility of a trade happening between the Red Sox and the New York Mets, as it's still up and live, but I am leaning more towards the no, is that the Mets have offered Mark Viento straight up as a one-to-one player trade for Masato Yoshida.
Yeah, I don't see that
Here's my
happen.
thing on it. I like the idea of the fact that Yoshida would make a great DH and would be a good contact hitter. I don't like it because
Wait, who had
Vientos
this?
had one bad season. I'm not
Who,
ready to give up
who,
on him yet unless I'm getting a
who
much
had the
bigger piece.
report?
ESPN.
Okay.
He's been from okay. It was probably Jeff Passan or something.
All right.
Uh,
No, that's
This
fine.
wasn't that popped up now. This popped up last night.
No, I just want to make sure it was a refutable source.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, look, I think that they both would be, it's an even 1-to-1, but I'm just not ready to give up on Vientos yet.
All right. On to Dan's Yankees because we'll get into the Mets in a little bit.
Yep.
This is simple. The Yankees brought back everybody. Their only real addition was Ryan West. So, Dan, are you cool with the Yankees running it back?
absolutely not. Like, no. Me and Bill will have a fest over Brian Cashman, uh, doing what he's got to do. I know some Yankee fans are okay with it, and I get why Yankee fans, some of them, not all. Again, there's a massive amount like me who are very upset. I get why people would be okay with running it back because the Yankees did win 90 plus games. Again, they almost won the division with this team. We of course the series against the Blue Jays could have gone better, and it was a total disaster. But they did make the playoffs, and it's not like they were terrible all season, just in July and August, you know. But the running it back for a lot of Yankee fans is okay because at least they know that this is a good team that they're competing against. My problem with running it back is the Blue Jays got better, the Red Sox got better, the Orioles got better. So now, you teams like those are going to look at that Yankee team that, like I said, good enough to make the playoffs, almost win the division. But they're going to look at that Yankee team and be like, oh, we faced these guys already. We know what to expect. So the fact that nothing has changed is not going to scare anybody. So that's my issue. It's not the fact that the Yankees aren't good. Of course they're good. Of course they're going to be in the mix. I'm not going to go as far as say they're going to win the division. Matter of fact, I don't think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to be, if they make the playoffs, they'll be a wild card team. The full disclosure, they'll be back in that wild card. I don't know who they face, but the fact of the matter is, the Yankees running it back is not a problem for teams in the East, and the AL East, as we all know, is a tough division, probably the toughest in baseball. These teams don't care. So that was my issue. If the Yankees had made changes to their lineup, and then of course you add Weathers, which I thought was pretty good acquisition. Even if you make a slight change to that lineup, maybe you steal a Bregman from the Red Sox. That would tell me something. But they didn't do that. Or trade Jazz Chisholm somewhere. Get a quality bat. Something that could change the dynamic a little bit. Because same old Yankees, I don't like that. No juice.
What it felt like to me was, Cashman may have even said this, I'm not 100% sure, was we're confident in this team. Plus, we're getting Garrett Cole back, and they're going to get the other pitcher, not Rodon, Clark Schmidt. And they're going to get Clark Schmidt back at some point. The problem is, you're going to get Garrett Cole back. At some point, Garrett Cole is going to not be Garrett Cole because he's going to slip a little bit.
What is he going to look like? I've never seen.
We don't know.
I've never seen Garrett Cole after Tommy John surgery. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
I don't know what his velocity is going to look like. He may have control over his pitches like he usually does, but I don't know how effective he's going to be.
We also don't know what his what's the velocity going to look like? What are a lot of things going to look like?
Are his big pitches, are they still going to be effective after Tommy John surgery? Based on what I've seen so far out of camp, he looks fine, but when it comes to big league play, I don't know what that's going to look like, Mark. I really don't. It's a tough sell if you're Cashman and Boone and all these people from the Bombers.
I look at this Yankees team, and I'm going to start off with this. Trent Grisham, what the hell do you pay this guy $22 million
That's another
for?
thing. They totally misread that Trent Grisham nonsense. They thought that he would never take $20 million for a season. I said, are you out your minds? God, you could have let him go to free agency and have him get some big time contract. And again, you have all these prospects, you have some cash on you. Go get like a Stephen Kwan, something, get some speed in that lineup. And of course, Kwan is a great outfielder too. Something.
Or here's an idea. Let the kids play. Let's see what the
Yeah.
kids have.
Even let's just say, and again, I would have been upset if Cody Bellinger were to go elsewhere. I truthfully. But let's just say, you get rid of Grisham, you get rid of Goldie, and Ben Rice is your everyday first baseman. Like, And then of course you have like a Spencer Jones and a Jason Dominguez battling out for the last outfield spot. Like that would tell me something, you know?
Yeah. And by the way, you might see one of them anyway, or the other one at some point this year anyway, because you know at some point Giancarlo Stanton's going to go on the IL.
Yeah. And you know
You
Giancarlo,
know,
he won't be a Yankee for a long time. That's
you,
another thing.
you look
Um,
at the other moves the Yankees made. Obviously, Bellinger is the big name and standout, and I honestly don't think he wanted to return to the Yankees. He just took the best offer that was out there because nobody else was really throwing bigger numbers than what the Yankees were offering anyway.
I disagree. I think he wanted to come back, but he also wanted the money. Let's be honest. Like he if he left the Yankees, it was because of the money, not because he didn't want to come back. Like
Um, and then you sign Mets great. Ahmed Rosario in for
yeah.
another run. I like him as a backup utility infielder. I'm not saying the guy's going to hit you 300 or anything. No, but he's more for his defense. Ryan Weathers, of course, I thought was a good move. My problem is the Yankees to me have lost their identity, and it's not just this year. It's the last decade. I don't think the Yankees know who the Yankees are anymore. The Yankees were the pinnacle of baseball. You come in, you be quaking in your knees thinking about playing the Yankees. That's not the case anymore. Yes, you're getting Garrett Cole back, and I really want to see how he's going to do. But here's the thing, man, Mike, I have you here, so it'll be easy to correct me if I'm wrong. Did Randy Johnson ever have Tommy John surgery?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Right. And Dan put it pretty perfectly. We don't know what Garrett Cole's going to look like after Tommy John surgery. It changes somebody. His spring has been something, but that's a couple of games. He's got a he's got at least 30 starts ahead of him. I do not think he makes more than 22.
Well, remember, he's not going to start the season. So they're not expecting him, I think, until at least May,
Yeah, it's like a late April, early May
early May.
type of situation. I mean, he can always come back sooner and everything if he feels up to it. Look, Garrett Cole's a competitor, so it wouldn't
Oh,
surprise
yeah.
whenever he comes back, it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, he's not gonna start the season.
So your rotation right now, honestly, because Rodon is going to miss the beginning of the season too. Clark Schmidt's out.
Correct?
The rotation right now is Max Fried, Luis Heel,
Yeah.
and not Clark Schmidt. The other guy who pitched really well against the Red Sox in the playoffs,
Schlittler, Steve
Schlittler. Thank you.
Mhm.
who is also kind of hurt too, if I'm
Oh,
not mistaken. So I mean, it's probably nothing, but like something to at least monitor. Um,
yes.
um, are you gonna really expect Max Free to do what he did again? Like, is that
The
possible?
guy is one of the most fierce competitors when it comes to standing out on the mound.
I,
He's a younger version of Verlander and Scherzer.
yeah,
If anybody who can come out and repeat what he did last year, it's him.
I, I listen. I like Fried a lot, but we saw it at the end of the year. He slowed down
yeah,
a little bit.
yeah. I mean, he's a big strikeout guy, which I love. I love that. If he gives us another repeat of 2025, like I'd be pretty happy with that. Like so far, the Freed signing from that offseason has been tremendous for the Yankees. Yeah, no, I mean, let's see what happens, man. And then obviously when Garrett Cole comes back, he's obviously not. Look, if Freed continues to be what he was, then I mean, I don't mind, you know, bumping Garrett Cole down a little bit just until he gets his reps in and everything. And then as the season goes on, if you're as close to the playoffs as I think the Yankees will be, you can start evaluating who your number one guy truly is. Well, we won't know that because Cole's hurt and it's going to be free for the time being.
And we all know when it comes to eventually playoffs, they'll decide just based on the matchup.
Yeah. And also the lineup is fine. But again, what's so feared about that lineup besides Judge? I don't know what Jazz Chisholm's gonna look like. Goldschmidt's another year older. I love Bellinger.
I heard they were trying something out, sort of like the Water Boy. They're going to let the Bat Boy try out.
It's Judge and Bellinger and Stanton when he's healthy. Outside of that, is Trent Grisham going to hit another 20-something homers?
I have no clue. I mean, look, he as a Yankee, Trent Grisham, I'll give him this. As a Yankee, Trent Grisham has been very productive.
Oh, yeah.
He has been very productive. Even when he wasn't a starter 2 years ago, he was very productive coming off the bench. Like he can
Yeah.
rake. So I'll give him that.
Yeah. We'll see what Ryan McMahon looks like in a full year.
Yeah, I expect good defensively. I'll tell you that much. No issues there.
And eventually Anthony Volpe will be back.
No, okay. Sorry. I would much rather Ahmed Rosario. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If we have to split him up middle infield, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like,
All right. All right.
I'm
That'll
not.
end. You got questions on the division. Favorite move within the division?
For me, it has to be Sonny Gray for the Red Sox. I think it was a smart move to give
Great move.
Crochet a nice backup.
Yes. Pete Alonso, Baltimore.
Okay. I'll go Ranger Suarez in Boston.
That's a good one.
Eats innings. We talked Garrett Cole. All right. So just so everyone knows, next week will be our official prediction show. But Dan, how many teams do you think in the AL East make the playoffs? Now you can change it by next week. I won't care. We won't care.
I'm gonna go three.
Three. Okay.
It's gonna be a tough division.
Mark?
I agree. 3 teams will be in the mix.
Okay.
Just based on the rest of the American League, like I have a very tough time thinking that multiple teams out of the West or the Central are going to come out of it. Like especially the Central, I think it's going to be a one-team race.
For the A's, they had an opportunity. All right. On to the National League East. The Phillies won the division last year at 96 and 66, followed by the Mets at 83 and 79, followed by the Marlins at 79 and 83. Marlins were like the best team in baseball after June 1st or something.
Yeah, which makes that Weathers deal kind of scratches your head a little bit.
It's kind of classic Marlins.
Yeah, it's like just a side note because it's just like like I was confused for a long time. Like, why are you getting rid of him?
The Braves at 76 and 86, and the Nationals at 66 and 96. On to moves made in the division. For the Braves, they added Robert Suarez, Ha-Seong Kim, Mike Yastrzemski, brought back Raisel Iglesias, Mauricio Dubon, Jorge Mateo, and Jonah Heim. But Mark, the thing about the Braves is this. They just got to be healthier than they were a year ago.
And they're already starting off the season in the wrong way, with pitchers already being down. Right now, Strider's coming back, but you just lost Schwallenbach, and if I got that right, hallelujah. And they have other concerns along the starting rotation to begin the season.
the Braves are always interesting. One, they're always hurt, even though they continue to make great signings. And two, when they're healthy, they play well, but they don't play as well as they should. They're a very interesting team, Mike. Like
Mhm.
I always look at Atlanta and I always praise Atlanta. Atlanta, they like to keep their own in-house. They don't allow people to go to free agency. No, 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 no. They ain't that type of team. And then they add to what they already built.
Yeah.
It's a shame that we don't see this team enough in the playoffs. Like I don't know, like it's they're due is basically what I'm trying to say. They're due. And with these signings, like there should be no reason why they can't make a big time playoff run.
Yeah, the back end of that bullpen, Suarez and Iglesias is going to be awesome. If they're healthy offensively, they're going to score runs. We
Yeah.
know Olsen is a premier power hitter. Riley is a premier power hitter. Oh, by the way, if Ronald Acuna Jr. is healthy, he
Yep.
might be the biggest threat to Otani winning MVP this year.
Hell yeah.
You know,
Possibly.
ho hum
It,
if
de-
he's healthy.
it depends on what version of Ronald Acuna returns after back-to-back years with ACL injuries.
No, I know, but I'm saying if he's healthy and he is what he was, he's a threat.
Yeah.
Michael Harris is a really good baseball player.
Who had a bad year last season.
And then let's get into my favorite subject, and that's the Brave rotation. Is Chris Sale going to be what Chris Sale was last year? If he's really good for them, plus.
Well, what if he's half of what he was last year?
That's you
Braves
listen.
will
You
sign up
take
for that, no
that. You
problem.
take that. Yeah.
Like like he's on the much older side now.
Yeah. Listen.
So you take it.
Yeah. If him and Strider can give you their best, eventually Schwellenbach comes back because that kid's a stud too. The Braves rotation, I don't think we're talking enough about how big of a threat the Braves are. And Mark, I think I even texted this to you at one point. Like, I really like this. I don't like the Braves, but I like the construction of this Braves team.
I like the way they've retooled. Okay, I like Mike Yastrzemski out of San Francisco. Robert Suarez was a nice pickup. Rafael Iglesias. They made smart moves. They didn't go out and get little nobodies, but they didn't also go out and overspend either because they have thoroughbreds on this team already.
Yeah.
You just need compliments to go along with it, and that's what they did.
And the most important thing about those thoroughbreds, they play every day. They do not take days off.
Yeah.
And now the big thing is they lose Ozuna. Guess what? Oh, Matt Olson, you need a little breather. You could DH. Riley, you want a little bit of a break? You could DH.
Yeah.
That DH slot now opens things up because they don't have Marcelo Ozuna.
Yeah. And even that Kim sign, Hassan Kim.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good move, for someone that can get on base, for someone that could play good defensive,
really good defense.
Like this guy is a good, solid addition. Again, not the greatest player ever, though his baseball numbers over in Asia will speak for itself. He was tremendous out there.
Yeah.
But that signing too is very underrated. It's not getting enough attention, in the National League circles. Like I really think the Braves came out swinging this offseason.
And the other change that we didn't bring up, Brian Snitker no longer in the dugout.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Walt Weiss, so we'll see if that has any effect. But
I mean, I don't know. Like it's always good to have a change of leadership in the dugout.
Also, Brian Snitker was around forever.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Listen, he deserves retirement. I'm not taking any shots at Brian Snitker.
Yeah.
His son is now the new hitting coach of the Mets. I have no issue with the Snicker family. Although if you drop the team, make it a C, it's Snicker, and I'm not a big Snickers guy. So, all right. The Marlins. The Marlins actually did things this offseason, which is weird. Brought in Owen Casey in the Edward Cabrera deal. Pete Fairbanks goes from Tampa to Miami. Christopher Morel does the same thing. Estuary Ruiz, who stole 60 bases a couple of years ago for the A's, and Chris Paddock in the rotation. Mark, we learned at the end of last year the Marlins are feisty.
The Marlins made a nice run come at the end of last season and what they did in the NL East. More or less anything that was really being talked about the Marlins, more of the rumors, what they were going to do with Alcantara and Cabrera. As we know, Cabrera got traded, Alcantara did not. The Braves are slowly rebuilding and doing what the Braves, I apologize. The Marlins are slowly doing and what the Marlins do is they build up a team that can get you to the playoffs. And they do that by trading all their stars to get second round draft picks, and stuff like that to build the team. The name I love out of all the ones they picked up was Christopher Morel. I think he's a damn good ball player. Does he move the needle everywhere? No, but one pick up a year, one pick up maybe even two or three. The Marlins are quietly going to make their way and be known in the next 3 to 4 years.
Listen, as long as they just don't give up, cool. But I need to believe it before I see it, because now the ultimate question is going to be what's going to happen with Sandy Alcantara between now trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, any thoughts here on the Marlins?
I love the Fairbanks signing.
Yep.
Like, he was a thorn up our asses in Tampa Bay. Like, man, he's a big time pitcher. Great solid ERA last season. Obviously, don't let that win total fool you. Wasn't like he was on a great team, but like understand that he's still fairly young. He's 32. Fairly young. He's not quite up there just yet, and can still be a massive pitcher. And just adding that to an already good, phenomenal Marlins rotation. And then, of course, the Marlins, they have their hitting set already. You're talking about, I'm not going to go out and say potentially one of the best teams in the National League. I'm not going to go that far yet because I don't know if that sample size that we got at the end of the season with the Marlins, I don't know if that's going to continue. But let's just say that you get a little piece of it continuing. Fairbanks can give you something that, could really help this team, like, really compete and, like, be serious. Because for the longest time, the Marlins, they weren't a serious team. They're just like the Nationals. The Nationals, we'll get to them in a second. They're not a serious team right now. This Marlins team is a little more serious.
I think the next thing to shoot for if you're the Marlins is can you get to 500? Can you get to 500? That you ended last year with that sweep of the Mets, costing the Mets.
I think it's possible.
Yeah. So you're coming into the year with some confidence. Let's see what you got. No one should be sleeping on the Marlins. They were tough at the end of the year, especially after June 1st. I think they're the second or third best record in baseball because they were that good. So we'll see what happens. All right. On to the New York Metropolitans, who brought in Bo Bichette, Freddie Peralta, Luis Robert, Marcus Simeon, Dan's guy Devin Williams, Jorge Polanco, Luke Weaver, Tobias Myers, Mike Talkman. Those are key additions. But the other thing is this, and Dan, I'm actually going to let you start off on the Mets.
Yeah, because like, you guys go have your time to shine, you know.
No, I'm gonna give it to you first.
Okay.
The Mets, they do have news today. Francisco Lindor will play shortstop and hit leadoff in today's grapefruit game against the Toronto Blue Jays. But what the Mets did, what David Stearns did was he took a bulldozer and he bulldozed the core of this team. When you talk Jeff McNeil, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, they're all out.
Yeah. I mean, to a team that, and look, obviously the 24 season was something. 2025, it was rough to watch middle season to the end. You know, the pitching was a disaster and everything. I get the sentimental value with Nimmo and maybe McNeil. Like I told you before, the Pete Alonso not signing him was a massive mistake. Like you don't your best the best home run hitter you've ever had in franchise history, and he's not gonna be in a Met uniform. That is just it's malpractice. You don't get rid of franchise legends like Pete Alonso. While I understand again the sentimental value of keeping a Brandon Nimmo, if I'm the Mets, I'm like, whatever. Like, it's not like Nimmo, as good as he was and as great of a locker room guy he was, it's not like losing him is going to be so impactful that it's going to completely damage your season. It's not. Like, Brandon Nimmo is not that type of impact player. He's a good player. He's a fun guy, but he could be a fun guy elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let him rake elsewhere and be a complimentary somewhere else. He wasn't as helpful as you think he was with the Mets. As good of a player he was. So on that standpoint, I totally understand what David Stearns did. And I thought it was the right move to get rid of him. Jeff McNeil, I don't give a shit about. Like, and his production has been tailing off for a while. So, it's not like 6 years ago where we saw Jeff McNeil that was on some otherworldly bullshit. I don't know what it was. Like he was a way better hitter, way better impactful player than he was towards the end of his time in New York. Um, so I'm not worried about that. Um, as far as the Mets concerned, it always, at the end of the day, it's always Steve Cohen meddling into David Stearns' plans towards the end of the offseason. He, it's funny because David Stearns did not want to get a Robert or all these different players, the Freddie Peraltas and everything. That's not something that just magically happened. No, what happened was you had Steve Cohen go into David Stern's office and be like, "Yo, bro, we need to make moves. You're not making enough moves here. You know, let's be real about that." No, David Stearns wanted to do some money ball bullshit, and Cohen wasn't allowing that.
I'll say this on Peralta though, and then I'll let you continue. At least Stearns knew Peralta from Milwaukee.
Fair enough.
I give you.
Fair enough. But Robert, nah, he didn't want him. Fuck out of here. Like, no. And he clearly didn't want Pete Alonso because he wasn't here, and they didn't even try for him. And that brings me to that. Look, I think overall the Mets will be much better they're a better assembled team this season than they were last year. I will tell you that. Of course, minus like I said, Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso. I think they'll be way better with those two. But I think this team, now that you have Soto and Lindor as your clubhouse leaders, I know like Lindor's like your de facto captain and everything. With them leading the charge, like, I really do think that the Mets do have something here. Then they'll definitely be competing in the National League. And um, it's all about it's all about what the pitching does. Hitting's fine. It's about what the pitching does.
Mark, you want to take that?
Oh, yeah. Look, from the start of free agency, there is no secret. I was throwing stuff at walls and was not happy. I watched one of my favorite Mets players to ever step foot out on the diamond, lead being in Pete Alonso. The trade with Brendan Nimmo, yeah, at first I really didn't understand it, but then when I looked at the entire situation, it made a lot of sense. Edwin Diaz, there's a lot more going on than what we knew about, and I believe the statement that Edwin Diaz said that everyone is standing by is he wanted a guaranteed shot at least being close to a World Series ring. Was that a guarantee with the Mets? No. That was a guarantee with only a couple of teams, and the Dodgers were it. That being said, let's wipe this board clean. David Stearns was going to be lynched if he left Citi Field. So what did he do is he sat down and he put together some nice little moves. Marcus Simeon was the great trade with Brendan Nimmo. Uh, it solved the second base need. Bringing in Devin Williams before signing Edwin Diaz was the mistake. I would have brought in Diaz. I'm sorry, Diaz. I would have brought in Williams after they signed Diaz. But no, I think they knew they were going to lose Diaz, and that's why they got him in the first place. Mike Tauchman, been a reliable utility outfielder. I think that he will be a definite help. Freddie Peralta was one of the biggest signings. Gonna finally give this team a true number one ace pitcher. Bo Bichette is gonna fix the problems at third base. And then, of course, Luis Robert, who Mike and I had talked heavily about at the trade deadline last season, whether he was going to be traded to the Mets at that time. And we both figured yes, even though it was not. But the Mets went out and made sure they solidified their center fielder, not necessarily for his bat, even though we know his bat is powerful, but more for his defense. The Mets bullpen got better. The rotation is, I would say, 75% better than what it was. I'm excited to watch this team. I just don't want this team getting full of itself early. That's why I truly think they did not go out and sign. No offense to Bo Bichette, but you have a Lindor and a Soto. You don't need to get bigger than that.
Yeah.
Unless it was Tariq Skubal, and that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I think ultimately, and Mike will get to you, again, like I said, the Mets are better. They definitely have a lot of power and a lot of contact in that lineup. Um, I'm not worried about the lineup. The pitching is more of a worry. You're gonna get a full season out of McLean. He's been okay in World Baseball Classic and spring training play. So, it's good to see him out there at least. The bullpen remains to be seen. I'll say about Devin Williams. I think a change of scenery might help him, but he's not as good as you think he is. So maybe like I said, change of scenery helps him out a little bit. I think you do have a stud in Clay Holmes though, and Luke Weaver.
I think you nailed a couple of things. Contact wise, this is a better line. They're going to push down the strikeouts, hopefully. Last year, this team could not hit with a runner in scoring position to save its life.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you get a guy like Bo Bichette who all he does is hit with runners in scoring position. Marcus Semien, professional hitter. But I need that passed down to some of the younger guys. Mark, you brought up Mark Vientos earlier. He was awful last year. He needs a bounce back. I pray to the baseball gods above that Francisco Alvarez can stay healthy enough to play 120 games. That's what I want out of Francisco Alvarez because it's there. Then there's the pitching aspect. Clay Holmes was their best starter last year.
Yeah, not by a mile.
Yeah, and if you were to tell me at the beginning of last year Clay Holmes was going to be your best starter,
Yeah,
I would have laughed in your face.
Yeah,
But
it's
it
the
turned
truth,
into
Mike.
Clay Holmes.
Well, I mean, for the longest time, he was a
reliever. He was just
closer, reliever, whatever you want to call it.
you
He bounced back in many roles. And all he knew was short end pitching outings. He wasn't a long guy, but he has transformed into a massive long guy that, it could be a weapon.
Yeah, look, you got him now. He's a fixture. Nolan McLean, hopefully the hype doesn't derail the career.
Yeah.
Then there's the ultimate X factor. What the hell am I getting out of Kodai Senga? Now, all signs in spring training have been positive.
Mm-hmm.
He's hitting 97 on the gun. He feels good. Right now, no complaints. Freddie Peralta's an ace. I'm not worried about him. He throws 200 innings every year. I am concerned with the fact that Sean Manaea is not hitting 92 on the radar gun at the moment. But that's a problem for another day. Maybe that's just him getting his strength back.
What would you rather? Because it's been a tough recovery for Manaea. What would you rather? Would you rather him hit high velocity, or would you rather quality pitching?
No, I want him to be quality.
Exactly. So it's like
I want the quality over the velocity.
Yeah.
My point is just this. I've always felt with lower velocity, if something's bothering him, I want to know now. I don't want to know in May that he has this issue with his shoulder.
Fair enough.
And I'm struggling to be like, yo, Jonathan, because I really want Jonathan to spend most of the year in AAA.
Yeah.
Because he only had 2 starts in AAA last year.
Yeah, it's a tough sell.
Right. So
all I'm saying is Manaea doesn't have to be a massive strikeout guy.
No, he doesn't.
Even if he gets ground outs to start off his season, like something.
No, that's the other reason Bichette, Semien, they're important. It's an improved defense. You don't need guys to strike 10 out a night. You don't need it. You have
the pitcher,
an infield defense now. First base.
The pitcher who will benefit the most from this new Mets defense will be David Peterson, as he puts the ball in play on the ground a lot.
Too many times.
By the way, David Peterson, too. He hit a wall at the end of last year.
Yeah.
So I think this team needs to play a little bit with a chip on its shoulder coming into the year. Because last year they thought they were guaranteed something, and it turned into you were at home watching the playoffs.
Disappointing season by a baseball team ever.
You need to play with a little bit of a chip this year.
Yeah, I think for the Mets, they didn't get cocky. They lost their way a little bit.
Yep.
It wasn't about overconfidence. I just think that they lost sight of what really mattered.
And here's the sad part, Dan. When they lost sight of that, the only guy who was hitting at the time was the $800 million man
Mm,
in Soto.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens this year.
Soto's phenomenal, man. Like
Oh,
he's gonna be so good for y'all. I'm telling you. Like
let's say that. Let me say this. I don't think this team is going to fail, but if they do, man, David Stern, there's going to be a lot of chatter
yeah.
on David Stearns, right? Whether it's right or wrong, he put his ass to the fire here, and we'll see what happens. All right. Dan, you're in DC, so we'll talk a little Nationals, but there's not going to be a high expectation.
Yeah, Blake Butera, youngest manager in Major League Baseball. Paul Taboni, he got him from the Red Sox. Also a very, very young executive. And look, them going and getting as young as they have, like that in itself tells you, you know, where they're at. The getting rid of Mackenzie Gore and sending him over to Texas told us everything about what this Nationals team is trying to do, which is to acquire young assets, rebuild. It's going to be another tough season in DC. Again, they're not a serious team right now. Of course, that could always change. Like you can always get a prospect that comes up. We saw James Wood last season. James Wood was a stud and will continue to be a stud. Um, but other than that, the Nationals not going to be a serious team. So they're just going to have to deal with small ass signings, you know, and that's it. That's all you can do, and then just hope and pray that there's some development brewing.
And I believe there were CJ Abrams rumors at some point, too.
Nothing that's been
But
serious.
nothing's been
Yeah,
definitive. So,
yeah,
but the Nationals did bring in Harry Ford, Zach Littell, and Miles Michaels to give veteran adds to that rotation. But yeah, it's going to be another long one in DC.
Big shout out to the Nats on Blake Butera.
yeah.
Was the Hudson Valley Renegades manager, and which me and the Patch Man hung out with. Blake, we know you're watching. Please remember me. I was the guy who saved your office from the sewer overload, and none of your stuff got messed up. It was all because of me. We built the barricade around the office. So just a how do you do on the network page would be great.
Yeah, Blake, come in for an interview, man.
Yeah. No, but he seems like a very nice guy and very passionate.
Yeah.
Like
He's a very intelligent, baseball minded
yeah.
person. He is perfect to be a manager, and he came up the right way throughout the major leagues, and now where he is now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Like I love giving chances to guys that have passion, that love the game, and are young and hungry, you know. And the fact that the Nationals also see it that way too. Um, like I think good years are coming, just not quite yet. And like I said, they got that Taboni guy from the Red Sox. That's another great front office that he's coming from. So like I think something's brewing. Just it's gonna be a while. Like it's gonna suck. Um, and baseball rebuilds they do take quite a bit. So just gonna have to deal with it.
And then the National League version of the New York Yankees, where they decided running it back was the best option.
Way older.
Way older.
May I
The
add.
Philadelphia Phillies.
You
They bring back Kyle Schwarber. They bring back JT Realmuto. They bring in Brad Keller, Adolis Garcia, Zach Pop, and Dylan Moore. I'll just say this. Schwarber, I totally get. I
Yeah.
totally understand Schwarber. 50 bombs, nobody's gonna, you can't write that. But JT Realmuto at 15 million a year for 3 years. I don't know, Dave Dombrowski. I don't know. But the other thing, Mark, is this. Dave Dombrowski called out Bryce Harper this offseason, saying he's a little bit past his prime. He's not the player he once was. We've seen Bryce Harper during this WBC. That contract, is that going to not age well?
Well, over his time in Philadelphia, when have we seen him as good, if not better? And I mean, and I'm talking about the number of years that he was with Washington. How many years equally has he had since leaving Washington?
Oh, he's been around.
He has not lived up to Bryce Harper. He is still one of the 10 best infielders in baseball. One of the best batters, probably one of the most feared. But he's lost a little bit of timing on that swing, as we all do as we age. Nobody's going to be able to be perfect. I do not. I think that contract is going to end up like the Mike Stanton contract. I mean, right now Mike Stanton apparently can't open a bag of chips to have a snack, and he's getting Jason Dominguez to open up his bag of chips so he can have his chips. I mean, what is Bryce Harper going to come up with? You know, he's got that knee. He's not going to be able to kickstart his motorcycle. Somebody's going to have to come and do it for him. I mean, come on. I have a lot of respect for Bryce Harper. I think he'll go down as one of the best. I just don't want to see him go down as a one night of his final season under 200, absolutely not. I want to see him go out on top. He's not going to do that here in Philadelphia. Kyle Schwarber, even though I'm putting down the Phillies as it is, there is no reason in the world you don't re-sign a guy who can hit 50 home runs. You don't need him to play a position. He's your DH. That makes sense. And Mike, you hit on it on Realmuto. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, this was the name in catching.
Best catcher in the game.
Home runs, doubles, just hitting for average. He's not like he used to be. I wouldn't have given him that contract.
And who are they bidding against?
That's what's going to be my next statement is who was jockeying for position to say, hey, look, you're not going to get him. We're going to get him. Nobody. There was not even a mention of another team. So you just threw away money that you probably could have saved $3 million a year. So personally on the Phillies, yeah, they're going to be there. Sadly enough, one of the pitchers who, God, what happened to my boy who will not be back due to that shoulder? I'm going to miss him. But Zach Wheeler will not be back, and that's a huge loss. Aaron Nola was nowhere near what he was at that last year. I think the Phillies will be competitive, but I do not feel they. I think they're fighting and they're on the outside looking in come the end.
Yeah. The Phillies, the Phillies are going to be good. But the question is how good? Because, like I said, they're the oldest team in baseball, arguably. And I mean, Dombrowski's right. I mean, the Bryce Harper's production has really gone down quite a bit. You know, um, Is that contract aging well? Probably not. But I mean, it almost did something in 2022 where we saw like some of the best seasons Bryce Harper's ever had, you know? But yeah, no, it's very interesting what Philadelphia is doing this season. And look, I think the rotation is going to be also an interesting factor too, with some key losses and stuff. But hitting wise, it should be fine. It's just about, where are they gonna end up in the pack? That's the thing that I worry about with Philly now. Because like I said, older, they it's basically the same team. And it's not like there's any juice in that dugout. Like what is there to celebrate right now with Philly? You know,
They're kind of like the Dodgers in the sense of not April through September aren't going to matter. It doesn't matter till October what they do because that's how they're going to be judged based on what they've done in the past and what this roster looks like. And this is where I question. And listen, I totally understand that I would have re-signed Schwarber too. The problem I have with bring back Schwarber is Harper's getting older, and he's not a great first baseman.
no.
That DH spot was open for Bryce Harper, and you just said, yeah, no, we're going to bring back Schwarber, which is fine. Schwarber's great. You let go of Castellanos. We'll see what Al Bohm could be. But he's been inconsistent. If Trey Turner could stay healthy, okay. Mark, you guys hit it on the rotation. Wheeler, maybe we may not see him until after the All-Star break. We don't even know. And they don't have Ranger Suarez. So now all of a sudden that rotation is Aaron Nola, Jesus Luzardo, Christopher Sanchez, who was really good last year. Can he replicate it? Look, the Phillies have questions. They'll be there in October. But if they don't win again, there's going to be a lot of questions about Dave Dombrowski.
Agreed.
And not only questions, but doubt might creep in because Dombrowski was brought here to build a championship team, and he's built a caliber team, a championship caliber team, but they haven't won anything. So, yeah, clock's ticking.
All right. Final question, then we'll sign this off. How many teams from the NL East make the playoffs this year?
2.
I think 2 is a good number.
Okay. 2. 2 it is. I wouldn't be shocked if a third. But you'll have to find that next week when we do predictions because the MLB regular season starts 1 week from Wednesday. And for some reason, the game is on Netflix. But that's the age we live in.
It's
you
like,
will not find us on that.
Do I really have to pay Netflix to watch the Yankees? Like, why?
Here's the stupidity of that. You have to not only pay Netflix, but you also have to pay for 20 games or so on Prime, too.
God,
correct.
Stupid.
Correct.
Like, why? Why? And of course, I don't even get the Yankees on Prime here because I'm not in the New York market. So it's like, it's ridiculous, man.
That is ridiculous.
Ridiculous. They should have never have left Channel 11. It was easy to watch. Whatever.
Yep.
All right. That'll do for this edition of the Batter Up podcast, sponsored by the Dugout Millwood here on the Sports Insanity Network. YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. Dan and Bill will be live tomorrow, SIP. Later this week, we probably got some other stuff coming live. Go to the website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for great blogs, vlogs, plays, trains, and automobiles. The website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Follow us on socials, Twitter, Insanity Real, Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network. Mark, anything on the dugout?
Right now, currently, if you go to eBay and you break it down to Top Notch Sports Club, there is a very special Alexis Bliss card up there that is came back a PSA 9 mint and only till 10 that they have of this one card. Go get it while it's still hot.
All right. Next week, predicting the MLB season.
Ooh,
Could
baby.
be a fun one.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone
Maybe
have
some
a great
fights.
week. Enjoy St. Patty's Day and don't get too hammered.
Oh, and shout out to Bill Murphy because on St. Patty's Day he turns the big 3, 2, 3, 2, 3.
So he turns
2.
into Cartoon
He
Network.
turns into 96.
Damn, he's old.
Peace and love, everybody.